Hello, I'm Matt Griffin from Ultimaker. Welcome to our webinar. This is the 3D printing mindset, distributed manufacturing. So a little housekeeping before we get started. The session will last around 50 minutes. There's a chat and questions function, so please use them. And we are going to be answering your questions in chat or at the end of the sequence through our live Q&A. Here are the things we're going to cover in this webinar and things that can really benefit you as a viewer. First, we're going to go over the basic concepts of distributed manufacturing and how Ultimaker has identified these and is seeking to help our customers to explore them. Then we're going to sit down with an Ultimaker expert who's going to walk us through how some of our customers are already doing a great job exploring distributed manufacturing. We're going to share a favorite case of ours, the Schubert story, that we've shared as an Ultimaker story before, and that really exemplifies what's possible for this process. And then we're going to discuss with you ways that Ultimaker unlocks these possibilities with the Ultimaker S5 Pro Bundle. Let's start out with the basic concept of distributed manufacturing. Now, some of the viewers have been practicing these kinds of techniques for years. You know Lean, you know a lot of the methodologies that have informed this. Others of you are hearing about this for the first time. So I want to get everybody on the same page so we can all benefit from this exploration. So I'm going to start with Ultimaker's mission statement. So Ultimaker's mission is we are here to help accelerate the transition to digital distribution and local manufacturing. Let's take a look at these terms from two perspectives, from the virtual and the physical. So digital distribution, creating digital parts and products and processes so that you can guide them through, you can send them to various places. And then on the other answering side, on the physical side, you can produce these parts where you need and how you need them. You can use the digital models that you have for the parts and the processes to help you actually make manufacturing aids as well that will help you to more easily produce these items. So we discovered these concepts from working with our customers. From the very first years of Ultimaker, we started seeing Ultimaker Originals, Ultimaker 2 Pluses. We saw them showing up in all kinds of contexts, serving all kinds of roles that we didn't guess from the very beginning. And then with the launch of the Ultimaker 3, we saw a number of our units start to show up in manufacturing chains, in factories, and in global companies that were sending files back and forth for design review and part review and even fabrication guidance. So we really believe that this principle can make a difference. To confirm our thinking around digital distribution, Ultimaker commissioned an independent research company to survey a wide range of professionals across the world. And this revealed that over 2/3 of the respondents expect that 3D printing will bring significant operational efficiencies and cost savings to their business over the coming 12 months. And almost half believe that 3D printing will eventually become a business-critical tool. So we know that our industry and growing customer base are demanding this route to accomplishing their goals. We really think that Ultimaker is a perfect candidate to help them carry this forward. We're going to sit down now with an Ultimaker expert who's going to help walk us through some of the things that are happening even today to usher in this new era of distributed manufacturing. So I'm sitting here with our Ultimaker expert, Peter, and we're going to explore in detail a conversation about distributed manufacturing. So first, Peter, introduce yourself. What's your background at Ultimaker?
My name is Peter Overgouw. I've been with Ultimaker for over 6 years. Right now I'm the application engineering manager for EMEA. We are part of the business development team, and that means that we are working with the global OEMs, and we help them identify applications, and applications are 3D printed products. and we help them define a business case about these applications. So if we have these applications covered with a customer, we help them develop these applications and adopt 3D printing in the company.
So how do we bring distributed manufacturing to these customers?
So distributed manufacturing is key for these customers. So of course we have to bring value to them. So 3D printing has a lot of opportunity and it should be scalable for them. So it's all about being flexible, being able to print a part where you need it, when you need it, and this is what we can offer them. So Ultimaker, we offer the hardware, we offer the software and the materials, and also we provide our customers with the right knowledge to produce these applications, to engineer it, and we think with them like how to do that. So this way, we train our customers to do it, so they can scale globally to create a lot of value.
So I want to start with the first signpost, this concept of the evolution of the supply chain. So how do you see the supply chain transforming for our customers?
So a lot of our customers having big lines, and it can be assembly lines, production lines, all kind of lines. And what you see is that in all these lines, they have a lot of parts involved. It can be for automation, it can be for quality control. There are a lot of opportunities there. And you see that some of these parts may break down, or you need some new parts and really custom on your product. And normally what companies were doing were ordering these parts, of course design the parts, ordering these parts at their manufacturers. And they had to mill it, they had to lathe it, there are all kinds of manufacturing techniques that they had to take in to produce these parts, and that took time. So of course you got to analyze the model, you got to prepare it for manufacturing, you got to manufacture the model, of course this all takes time. And in the end you got to pack it and you've got to ship it to the customer who ordered it. And the thing is, what we're seeing right now is that they are adopting 3D printing more and more. So if you put a 3D printer next to your line where you need the part, you can imagine that it's a lot faster than ordering a part elsewhere. Because if you print it right next to your line, you can skip all this time loss, what it takes to order a part, because the part and the manufacturer, they should be in your financial system already. If they're not in your financial system, they need to make that. They gotta create an account in their system. Then they need to order it, so probably it needs to go to purchasing, and then all the other steps I just mentioned with shipping, you can save because the print is right next to your line. So basically, if you design it and you print it right there, you can save all this time to get it right out.
And when we were talking about this earlier, you were mentioning how sometimes these parts made even at an urgent time expense, sent rushed over to a site to use. They might even get lost on the way in to find the person that needs them. So this really not only compresses a lot of the various steps, but the people who really need it are the ones that are seeing this process and making sure that the part is ready for them where they need it. I thought that was really an excellent concept.
Yeah, and to fulfill your point, we even see with customers that they are moving up to a next level in their industry and like getting parts in, but also they are working with their suppliers to improve 3D printing. So our customers are working with 3D printing already, but now they're asking their manufacturers to start thinking about 3D printing as well. So we can see that the adoption is growing, that companies are already thinking of 3D printing in the future and how to bring that forward with their manufacturers.
So those time savings and optimization benefits are going up and down the traditional supply chain line as well.
Definitely, it's moving forward as a company. They want to work together with their manufacturers, but these manufacturers have to grow too. They gotta adopt 3D printing. They have to move forward with them to be more flexible and even compete with other techniques.
So let's take this to the next step, which is sort of going digital. Having your parts, having your processes taking place in the digital space. How does that impact what these customers are able to do? So
there is a huge impact on having this digital. Of course, you can imagine, like we always compare it to like sending a cake to your family on the other side of the world. It's really hard. It takes some time to get there, and when the cake gets there, it's already ruined because of time and it's taking too long and you cannot eat it anymore. But if you send a recipe over, then it gets interesting. You send a recipe and they can make the cake themselves and it's all fresh and they can eat it. So the whole thing with digital distribution is that we can send a file over. We can prepare a file for 3D printing. We can make it all, we can set all the configurations, we can set everything needed to 3D print the file right. And if you put a printer on the other side of the world, you just need to send this recipe, this file over to 3D print this application, and they press start, and it just comes out the right way how you thought of it in the beginning.
So you have the supply chain transforming where you're getting the means of production happening really close to where it's needed. And then you have also this option that the design process and the production of the file, the recipe, like you were pointing out, to create it can happen anywhere and can be made use of anywhere. Like your idea of the recipe, maybe that recipe is really good, so then everybody could make it. You send it out to multiple sites at once. So one of the things that we've been talking about internally quite a bit that is in reference to this digital transformation, the going digital, the production of these digital files, is that you might have the information you need about the part that you're trying to produce, that your goal is to manufacture this element. Well, you have all that digital, and so it unlocks all these possibilities for using the same technology we've been discussing for making additive manufacturing aids. Mm-hmm. I'd love to hear about some of the cases you're seeing where people are producing, using digital files and 3D printers to produce manufacturing aids.
Yes, so basically all our customers are doing it because we got to create this digital file to 3D print. But what you see is that customers are really moving forward on this idea we just discussed. So we got some examples like Heineken, we got an example like the Schubert case, and the thing is what they are doing is they are really onto this next level about thinking like how can I adopt 3D printing and how can I adopt this digital process in my company. These companies are global, they have multiple sites, they even have customers who would like to be able to print stuff. So it's really important for them to move forward and use this digital network to share these parts so they can print it on site. Excellent.
And so let's talk about the Heineken project a little bit more. So we shared the Ultimaker story last year, and it got a lot of attention, in particular for the discussion about replacement parts and what happens when a line breaks down. Share with us some stories about making replacement parts and solving problems on site.
Yeah, so what we do with all of our customers, and I think Heineken is a great example, is that, of course, we have a look with them. How do you identify applications? And of course, we look at like what parts are you replacing, where are your costs, where are your issues in this line? Because sometimes if a part breaks down, it takes them a long time to get this part in. Especially for the reasons I mentioned earlier, sometimes it just takes a long time. But you can also imagine that if one of these breweries of Heineken is in a specific location, what is hard to reach, so in a country where the other organization is not that high as like other countries, and a manufacturer ships a part over what they ordered before, maybe can even get stuck by customs, and the line is still broke down, it's not running, so it's costing them a lot of money to keep it up again.
I remember hearing that for some of these distant sites, they're solving that, bringing manufacturing closer to the local need problem. They'll have to have a secondary facility just full of replacement parts, just to make sure that local fabrication plant keeps running. And so when we talked about things going digital, let's talk about what it means to be able to have a warehouse, a digital warehouse of all these parts that you can draw from. Where are you seeing that kind of strategy adopted among our customers?
We see that more and more. So the bigger customers we focus on, they really want to go global. So they have to open up these possibilities for their employees to 3D print these products. the thing is that it's not possible for everybody to create this design. So they really want to share this digital file. And like how they are doing that, you can see with our customers, like if they're growing and they're opening up multiple sites, they want to share their knowledge. So they're building these centers of excellence, or a digital warehouse basically, where there's knowledge, where there are these files, and they are basically making it possible for these employees to just download the file and press start on a printer right there on their location, and the part just comes out.
That's fantastic. And I've been hearing about examples where initially you might have mostly ready to go and validated parts, which is already really exciting. But the idea and the continuing development of possibilities to have parametric parts, ones that are digital but can solve a range of problems, like say an attachment point in an automation line. So you have that captured and a tool that you can quickly adapt to suit the needs. Do you have any customer stories of people who are starting to explore using parametric parts right there for solving problems?
Yes, definitely. So this becomes a bigger topic, of course. So like I said, it's not easy for everybody to design. So making it easy to design is critical. So what we see with, for example, Ford, they use Trinkle. And Trinkle, you can just load a CAD file, you can just put down some points there and it generates a file. So it's really on dimensions and it's accurate, and then operators can even do it to generate this file and 3D print it right there.
When you're talking to customers about these opportunities, helping them as you're walking through sites and identifying things that help them understand how they can use 3D printing, how do you talk to them about this future vision of where they could go, and also about the examples that are already here in place among the other customers you're working with?
Yeah, so at first when we go to these customers, often they have an idea of what they want to 3D print, but they do not really know how or anything. And then we see that they are already really focused on this application. So at first we have to think with them. We've got to inspire them. So we think of like, what kind of company is this? What is all possible here? Because many times there is so much more possible than what they are already thinking about. And most of the times it's not that hard to do it. So we can already do a lot of applications they want to print with really basic materials, polymers. It does not even have to be metal. Often we are even replacing their metal parts to polymer parts because it's not really needed to use metal in some places. So we can already, like by showing them like how easy it is and how plug and play the machine is, and like everything we offer gives them already a good feeling about 3D printing. Of course, the next step, like inspiration, is that they can grow this, they can scale this to different locations. And you can already see that with some companies we are working with, they are really thinking about the future. How is 3D printing going to look in our company? So we even work together with companies who are already designing parts for 3D printing, and they're putting it in this digital warehouse, preparing it for the future. Next to using it right now, because they are already working with some location, but also like really preparing it for the future. So you can imagine that this company, they do a lot of surface, they even do it like with people at home and everything, and they are preparing parts so they can print it when like an operator is driving somewhere to a customer, and he knows like what part to print, that he's just printing it in the back of his van while he's driving there, and they get the part out right there.
Yeah.
So this is a topic that's going on, but you can already see customers are preparing for that. So that's really impressive. Yeah.
And would you say this kind of idea is being explored only with sort of innovators? Is it being explored in traditional manufacturing? Is it being explored in small businesses? Where do you see it?
I see it everywhere. But the thing is, we are aiming at OEMs. So they are really focused on like global digital manufacturing, of course. But yeah, you see it everywhere. Everybody is moving towards 3D printing and how to do it local, how to cut the costs, how to make it easy, how to be flexible with everything you have to produce and make things going again.
So next up, we're going to watch a video that's an Ultimaker story that really shows how our customers are racing forward towards distributed manufacturing.
Instead of waiting maybe 3 months for a new format part, we are now able to send him the file within 2 weeks. So we reduce the cycle time enormously. My name is Markus Schindler. I'm responsible and head of for the materials management here at Gerhard Schubert. Schubert designs and builds packaging machines for the food industry, dairy industry, the pharma industry, and so on. So a lot of products from the supermarket get packed by a Schubert machine. The flexibility of our machines come through our tools. We set up tools on our robots, and the tools are as flexible as the product itself. For example, if you have a machine that's packaging chocolate bunnies on one side of a year, and then on the other half of the year, chocolate Santa Clauses, and you only have to replace the tool. Originally, we started delivering the parts as a conventional part. We manufactured them here, we post-processed them, and then we packed them and shipped them to our customers. And the problem was that sometimes the whole process was longer than in a conventional process. We had to think about how we can send files instead of the whole material to our customer. The customer should not slice anything or should do anything in a software, just click and print. As we began with thinking about sending certified printing jobs to our customers, I searched for the easiest to use printer with the highest reliability and the best quality, and there I found Ultimaker. Our customer gets a 3D printer with his machine, and we connect the 3D printer with our digital warehouse. We slice the part with Cura and adjust all the parameters. We print the part out, we test it, and we save the parameters of the tested parts. And this certified printing job we upload on our digital warehouse. A digital warehouse is a storage of all virtual parts and all virtual certified printing jobs he has. Our customer is able to search for parts, he is able to store the parts digital, to print parts on demand from the digital warehouse direct to the connected printer. And the security is the most important thing. That's why we have an IoT gate direct at the printer. Second step is you can encode your certified printing jobs direct to the printer. When the customer wants a new format part for a new packed product, for example, he sends us a 3D model of the packed product, and from the 3D model we can design the new parts. After that we create the certified printing job, upload the certified printing job in his digital warehouse. After that he is able to produce it on demand. It's our task and our solution to help him that he is able to click and print.
So the Schubert case from the packaging industry really represents a major leap forward towards the future of distributed manufacturing, and a great example that we really highlight among our customers for where this is going. So let's take a moment and we'll quickly review the things that we covered about distributed manufacturing in this webinar so far. So first we have the concept of changes to the supply chain, making what you want, when you want, where you want. Then we have the concept of going digital, of that we're making our products using digital tools, that we're connecting them with digital processes, and Peter's notion of creating the recipe and then getting the recipe to where it needs to go and being confident that you'll have a beautiful cake produced as a result there. Then we flip that around and we talked about you have a recipe for that product you're making. Well, you also have enough information to make manufacturing aids to make that process more efficient. And you can even produce those right where you need them, right at the factory line, and make changes. And then the last topic, you have these solutions and you can potentially have a digital warehouse where you have all of these parts ready to go. They've been validated and checked. You can download them, use them, print them out, right on site where you might need them, and even take those files have parametric versions. You have captured the information you need to make a custom part you can use right there. So even the operators there at a final fabrication point can make a change, solve a problem, and have the part they need without spending weeks in CAD revision elsewhere. So these are the main signposts we see on the way to distributed manufacturing becoming a paradigm that maybe all of manufacturing follows. How do Ultimaker products really map into this equation?
So with everything we discussed, the Ultimaker S5 Pro bundle represents most of these points. So the thing is, with the S5 Pro bundle, it's really a machine that you can put right there next to your production line and connect to your network. And with that, you can contact the digital warehouse and you will be able to download your part, press start, and get the part out. And the best thing about the Pro bundle, it's not just the basic materials, but with the Air Manager and Material Station, you can even print like really high technical applications.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. So even though the idea of distributed manufacturing has a future trajectory that we're really excited about, there are already things you can immediately do today to transform your business, to optimize your processes, save money, and have the parts that you need where you need them. So thank you again, Peter, for joining us and explaining how distributed manufacturing is already coming to our customers.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I hope I gave some good insights on our view on how we do this with customers.
Absolutely. And we know that you have a lot of questions. We've been seeing the questions coming in. So stick around with us. We're going to answer some questions live after the break.
Hello, we're now arriving at the Q&A. Peter and Matt, thank you very much for this well, it's not just interesting, it's also very impressive stories about how currently this complete new development of distributed manufacturing is finding its way in the world. Thanks, Peter. Hello, my name is Paul Heiden. I'm responsible for the product at Ultimaker. And what I'm going to do today is answer some of the questions that you have posed during the webinar. But before we do that, I'd first of all like you to fill out a little poll. You will see this on your screen. And we wonder, which aspect of digital distribution do you expect to be the most valuable for your business? Is it the supply chain evolution, the digital warehouse, the manufacturing aids, suppliers, or you're just not sure? Of course, it's a brand new thing, and we really like any answer that will be very helpful. So vote now, and we will share the results at the end of the webinar. Now let's go to some of the questions. We had quite a number of questions about the digital warehouse. And once you start thinking about the ability to keep parts virtual as long as you possibly can, and only make them when they're needed and where they are needed, of course, there's this huge impact in terms of supply chain. There's this huge impact in terms of cost, in terms of your environmental footprint. But it all starts pretty much with the digital warehouse. So questions about the digital warehouse are very welcome. In the case of Schubert, yes, Schubert has been building this. Of course, we assisted in that. At the same time, it is very interesting to see that several companies are doing this themselves too. But we will also start investing in more generic facilities for Cura users to start using this facility. It is perhaps interesting now to tell a little bit more about our software strategy in that respect. In the end, our mission is to accelerate not just local manufacturing, but also digital distribution. And so what you will see in the forthcoming period to enable this is actually 3 steps or 3 values that we will start developing. The first one is the ability to create certified print jobs faster. So with, for instance, simulation, with optimization. The second one is the digital warehouse, and then particularly the capability to distribute in a safe way these print jobs is probably the best word. And thirdly, there's the ability to control this whole setup and make sure that the right users have access, that there is user and production reports, that sort of thing. So yes, today we see several implementations of warehouses being made by early adopters. We love seeing that. We love to learn from that. And at the same time, we will come up with more generic facilities to make sure that you can actually do this in your own company as well. Another question that I saw is that was a question from Fabio. I'm curious about how you're dealing with opportunities to print IP-owned parts. Now, that's a thing that consistently comes back in discussions about distributed manufacturing. And I think the answer is perhaps even threefold. On the one hand, today we're testing. Today we're trying things. Today Heineken is finding out parts that are probably have no IP whatsoever because they're smart tools that they can use at the moment that they need this. This is of course probably different when it comes, for instance, to spare parts. Now, if you want to print spare parts, you can always do that in order to keep your business going. But the trend that we see is that companies like Heineken or manufacturers in general will start asking their suppliers to provide the certified print job for them to be printed at the moment that they actually need it. And of course, the most telling example there is Schubert, where you see that Schubert, as a supplier of packaging machines, is saying, okay, customer, we love to solve this for you. We love to solve this issue because it's a great way of supporting you. So we provide you with a digital warehouse. You just order what you need. We will send you the print job and we will make sure that it ends up next to your machine where you need it at the moment that you need it. So probably the most important development around IP is that the manufacturer or the tool manufacturer will start driving this effort for certified print jobs towards their suppliers in the second or even perhaps the third tier. So another question that I would like to pick out is a question that I saw several times in this context is the functionality through the cloud. Of course, the moment that you start thinking about distributed manufacturing, the whole system of very localized printing needs to be, we need to rethink that. And so what you currently see is that on the one hand, we provide for local manufacturing very often next to a CAD system, for instance, a very secure inside LAN behind the firewall system of Connect, Ultimaker Connect running on the machine and Cura running on your local desktop or your local laptop. However, once the machine starts being further away, starts being next to a machine or perhaps on a ship or perhaps somewhere on a drilling platform, it becomes very necessary to be able to just send the print job over the cloud to the machine where you actually need it. So what you will see in the coming even month or weeks, if I would say, is that we start offering cloud functionality that really enables you to queue, to monitor, and to really start print jobs from anywhere in the world at the moment that you need it. Please follow our website there. Start your own web account on Cura. It's really very helpful to start learning about this, and you will see that much of the functionality that you can safely use in a machine Cura interaction within a local area network will also be made available in the cloud to truly facilitate distributed manufacturing. Let's go to another question. So there was a question Ahmad asks, does the software come with the printer? So Ultimaker Cura is free for download. It is without any doubt the most used slicer and without my doubt the best slicer in the world. The numbers are staggering. You're not the only one using Cura in case you use it. Last year, there were 72 million slices made with Cura, the year before 32 million. So it's a growing community. People help each other, do download it, do start using it. And of course, it's very nicely integrated with Cura. As I said before, in the very near future, we will start enriching this environment, particularly for professional users, looking into optimizing and accelerating the process of building G-code. But it is, in the end, an integral part of the machine. It's something that we strongly believe in. 3D printing is not just about the 3D printer. It's also very much about the ability to use the right material, slice at the right moment, do this exactly for the right machine. It's all deeply integrated. We don't think that slicing is something that you can do in a generic fashion. It's really closely integrated with the machine you actually want to use. So do use Cura in combination with your Ultimaker machines, and particularly the Pro bundle. Another one, and that's Ilario asked this, and I think that's a very good question because it, well, from my point of view, it gives an understanding of what distributed manufacturing in the end will be. Ilario asked, does the print machine have embedded diagnostics and repair aids to get the customer up and making parts fast? The machine, usually people, well, today people often use the machine in combination with the CAD software, pretty close by. People can see it, it's next to you. But of course, in a distributed manufacturing scenario, we need to be able to really communicate with the printer at a distance. So yes, one of the things that we're looking into deeply is to see how we can do diagnostics, how we can almost allow the machine to tell the user, look, you need to replace this part or you need to do this maintenance in order to ensure that the printer is always ready to work when it's needed. That functionality, by the way, is already available in Ultimaker Connect. So do start it and you will see maintenance schedules and so on. But particularly in a scenario where printers are placed far away, again, on a ship or somewhere deep in the jungle, then we do want to make sure that the machine understands what to repair and what to do. That also brings me to another remark that I saw just a few minutes ago, but I think it's because it's so linked to the actual news. An interesting statement that in case of a pandemic, for instance, the coronavirus, distributed manufacturing has a potential for minimizing downtimes linked to restrictions in mobility of goods. I think in the end, it's another example of what it means to implement distributed manufacturing. You keep a part virtual, you can let it travel as G-code through the world over the internet. There is no customs, there's no controls, people can simply bring it to wherever it's needed. And yes, this will have an impact in when supply chains are disrupted due to the coronavirus. It will have an impact if supply chains are disrupted for any other, well, let's say, unfortunate development in the world. So it's not just about cost, it's not just about sustainability, it's also about reducing the risk of the physical supply chains. So thanks for that, Paul, in this case. I'm going through one of the last questions. It's Pasi, and he's asking what issues I might face if I go ahead with my plan to use 3D printing on production at 3 different locations in the world. I'd create and test parts in my own location, then have other places using the files I provide to do production units. This again is a concrete example of how you implement distributed manufacturing. So it's not just the case where a supplier allows his customer to quickly get spare parts or quickly get the tools that he or she needs. All too often, and the Heineken case is a nice example there, it will be that somebody within the company makes a nice part, and then the success of the part can be multiplied to several other locations. Now, what we see is that with the current applications that the S5 support, you can pretty much rely that the same part will occur at the other locations. Of course, if there are enormous differences in circumstances, climate, there could be some differences in there. But as a rule, you can completely rely that if you make a thing, if you make a part on one location, that it will also nicely pop up in other locations. But this is also like in automotive industry, where you build a car and it continues to be more fuel efficient. Ultimaker will never stop working on the repeatability of parts and make sure that with critical parts, with strong parts, that the way that a part occurs in one place will also be the same way that the part will occur in another place. So yes, it is continuously something that we look into. I think, yeah, we're running out of time. I think what I would like to do now is finally run to the poll and see what the outcome of the poll is. Sometimes people tell me that they think that distributed manufacturing is perhaps a few years away, but your answers really show that is really not the case. People already see, and I hear this every day, people already see the enormous impact it can have on the supply chain. The ability to do this, of course, is closely related to the digital warehouse. So your answers, where the majority of people is already having an idea of a digital warehouse, having an idea of distributed manufacturing, shows that we're really now fully engaged in this change in not just distributed manufacturing, but also in completely changing the way we manage and control our supply chains. In the end, the real value of 3D printing, as far as I can tell, it's all about keeping your part virtual as long as you possibly can and just let it fly to wherever it's needed. So yes, really convincing that that we see this now. That also brings me to the end of the presentation. There are several things that I would like to ask you. We are only in the beginning of using webinar as an effective tool to start communicating with you. It would be extremely appreciated if you were to fill out the survey that we ask you to fill out at the end of this webinar. It would be really helpful to improve how we're doing things. And at the same time, it would be very helpful to get new ideas and get new things that you would like us to discuss and tell about. Finally, you can download handouts on the right hand of your screen to learn more and find some additional information on how to start thinking about distributed manufacturing. And as a final word, if you feel that you'd like to learn more, if you really want direct contact with us to see what we can do for you, either in setting up the competence center that Peter and Matt were talking about, or in already start building on ideas how to implement distributed manufacturing, do reach out to us at peter@ultimaker.com and we'll get back to you. Again, thank you very much for participating in this webinar. We enjoyed it and I hope to see you soon. Thanks.